Good morning, spectacular misfits. And
Good
good
morning.
morning, Byron. Good evening, Arlen.
Good
How are
morning.
you guys doing today?
Fine. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about corporate Democrats topics or whatever. Oh, yeah. Where were the yeah? You list all the things so we can stay in topic relevant. Yeah, all that.
I'll keep
Yep,
us on pace. Don't worry. Have faith.
yep.
Yeah.
Last week, we talked about corporate Democrats and the establishment. And this week is a direct follow up. We're talking about democratic socialism. And I wrote a companion piece to this podcast too. So if you go to my website, there'll be an essay that kind of goes with what we're talking about today. But let me throw this out there to start the discussion. It's perfect. I came across a wildly popular TikTok video of this MAGA grandpa, well intentioned. He's just trapped in some regressive beliefs he's grown up with. But he's got his big scraggly beard and he's sitting at a table outside with his grandson. And the title of the video, and remember, it's wildly popular. People are eating this up.
Okay,
Uh,
Dad. And you're old enough to be my
MAGA
dad, so
grandpa is sitting with his grandson, and he's going to teach the grandson the difference between Republicans and Democrats. And he's got this stack of cookies, of course. And he said, "Grandson, you work very hard, and you earned this stack of cookies. You have to give one to our government. That's fine. That's fair. That's your contribution that pays for the interstate highways and stuff we all use. You follow, grandson?" He's like, "But hold on. That's only if the Republicans are in charge. If the Democrats are in charge, well, you got to give another cookie to the single moms. You got to give another cookie to the young men that want to play video games instead of work. You got to give another cookie to other countries." And the kid's watching his stack of cookies shrink. He's like, "I don't like that. I don't like the Democrats giving all my cookies away." He's like, "Well, welcome to conservatism, grandson." And I hop into the comments, right? I'm a keyboard warrior. And I said, the single moms and the guys that want to play video games aren't your enemy. The billionaires are your enemy. And then all these people show up wanting to glaze the billionaires. No, billionaires make jobs. Billionaires are good for society. So when we come out with a video today, we're trying to sell people on the merits of democratic socialism. And my point hinges on, it's not that we don't want to work, it's that we don't want to be abused and exploited, and we don't want work to exist for the sake of making billionaires richer, and we don't want all this participation in capitalism to destroy the environment so our kids don't have a planet anymore. But with that video in mind, you guys, what exactly is democratic socialism, and how does it enhance or detract from freedom, right? Because freedom is a really strong theme in America, and we're all essentially fighting for our freedom. That MAGA grandpa thinks he's fighting for his freedom with all that jargon he's passing down to his grandson. So, what is democratic socialism, and what is freedom, Arlen and Byron?
well, I didn't go first, so I'll explain later.
All right,
Oh,
Arlen, you're up.
I mean, Arlene seems to be more knowledgeable than me on policies, and I think he seems to be more smarter than me on political science, so like those kind of stuff.
I
I
don't know
know more
about
about the
that, man.
historical facts than, and I know like I'm usually more know about the historical things, and he knows more
Yeah,
about
you're
the
very good at that, for
Arlen's
political
the
sure.
things.
definition guy, and you're the history guy.
Yeah, like he's a yeah, political
Yeah.
position. At least me and Arlen are good at know about the geography around the world. Yeah, we know what's going on there. Yeah.
Mm.
All right, Arlen, democratic socialism and freedom.
Well, if you talk about freedom, the problem in America is how do you define freedom? What is freedom? Like, for example, when those mega Republicans, or even any Republicans for the matter, talk about freedom, they don't even really know what they're talking about. They just feel they have this fear built up inside them where they think, oh, freedom from tyranny. But what tyranny? Your own government isn't like throwing out tanks killing you. That's not happening. So we first have to define what freedom is. And to me, freedom ties into democratic socialism, because democratic socialism basically means we're trying to build an economy that actually benefits the majority of us, basically the 99% of us. And if everyone is stable in their basic needs, then we can actually work together on other issues and bring the country into a better place. But without the basic necessity, we end up fighting each other. So that's my definition of democratic socialism.
That's a great definition. You got anything to add, Byron?
Uh, I thought Arlen has more. And well, thanks, Arlen. You got the AOC shirt, AOC and me. What else it says there?
It says we need to focus on the worker, work-life balance is important too, because basically we need an economy that works for the working people. Like, we're all working. Why aren't we benefited from any of the social programs? What democratic socialism will bring is a strong suite of legislation where it all these social programs that will be passed to help people live a better life. For example, like universal healthcare, high-speed rail, childcare, all of those things, and a lot more.
Yeah, so work-life balance is a cute little phrase, and it's kind of been co-opted and corrupted, and it's dangled over us. And oh, you only have to work 40 hours. What a great work-life balance. Never mind the commute and the unpaid overtime and all the things we've come to expect as work culture and have just written off as the way things are. So what that MAGA grandpa and his cookies doesn't understand is he doesn't have a stack of cookies. He has a crumb. And he's fighting to preserve his crumb. Exactly. And he's denigrating people with smaller crumbs without considering that the billionaires just have mountains of cookies. And they own the ingredients of the cookies, and they own the mixing machines for the cookies, and they own the packaging and the distribution. And they don't own these things because they're smart. Like, I had to turn it off. I've somehow tuned into a Howard Schultz, the CEO of Starbucks, hearing before Congress, and they were trying to grill him on why he crushes unions. And he's like, well, people have the right to try to form unions, and I have the right to try to do what's right for Starbucks. And he's like, you look it up. He said something like, nobody helped me. When I was little, my parents used federally subsidized housing. I came from nothing. It's like, federally subsidized housing? Well, then how come that's not the norm? If the CEO of Starbucks had to grow up in federally subsidized housing, why is that not the norm?
Sure, Grandpa. Sure, yeah. Grandpa. Boomers. They just don't get it.
So it's not so. The capitalist system at this point, it's not being refereed by the government, it's controlling the government. So when somebody ascends to billionaire status, it's because the system didn't work. Because capitalism means money's flowing around and you can innovate and that was successful. Oh, that's not, but I can start over because this is the landscape of America where all you need is an idea and a dream. But it's been corrupted beyond all recognition. So something does need to be done about the billionaires. But as we discussed with the establishment, the establishment gets stronger and stronger and becomes more and more impenetrable, and it becomes more difficult to make these changes. So one of the obstacles to this work-life balance that they tease us with and try to convince us that we have it when we don't is voting. Like, voter rights and workers' rights are the same. And that's why the current GOP wants to make voting so difficult. Because voting in person on a Tuesday is hard, especially if your job is inflexible. I've gone through the whole thing where you had to vote. Yeah, I'm old enough that I had to vote in person a lot, and I would get up super early and try to vote before work. And it'd be a little annoying when all the retirees get there first, and I'm like, I really got to vote so I can get to work. Like, don't you guys have the whole day off? Like, couldn't you let us go first and then you guys show up? Like, it's like, whatever. The old people who don't have to be anywhere like to get up, vote, and then go do whatever they're going to do the rest of the day. I'm like, man, I got to vote so I can get to work. But then my county introduced permanent mail-in ballots, and I signed up for that, and it's been great. It shows up, you fill it out at your leisure, you drop it in the mail. So of course they want to get rid of that.
Of course.
They want me to have to decide, vote or go to work, because a lot of people are going to choose go to work. And that helps the establishment. Yeah, go ahead.
What I think? If I know there's a big argument in the U.S. about mail-in voting, because there's one camp that says, well, it's convenient and it works, and then the other side's claiming there's a lot of fraud. If you want to go that route, why not just, if we really want to get rid of it, why not just make voting day as easy as possible? Maybe make it like a national holiday, or at the very least on a weekend. Because when you're putting voting on a Tuesday, what you're trying to do is it's anti-worker, basically. It's saying, oh, all you nice little workers are going to work. Therefore, your chances of voting is actually much slimmer. And now us billionaires will just like vote twice even, or 3 times. I've heard of stories like that where billionaires vote 3 times.
I'll be right back quickly, okay?
Okay.
Let me tell you this. I'm gonna confess to a little crime here on video.
Oh man.
Or we can call it an experiment, although I didn't know at the time it was an experiment. But to that fraud point, my nephew became interested in politics at a young age, and I typically have my mail go to my parents' house and then they hand it over. And my mom had let me know I had a ballot sitting there. I'm like, what's the election? And it was just some special runoff, or so it wasn't like a general election or anything that important. And I was like, well, give it to my nephew and just have him vote for all the Democrats and drop it in the mail for me. I know, I bet. Well, there you go. So voter fraud, right? Well, I got a call like almost immediately from the county recorder. Like, we have a suspicious question about your ballot. I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna go to jail. And I'm like, what's up? And they're like, your signature doesn't match past year's signature. I'm like, you guys check that shit?
Okay.
I was like, no, I just sometimes I'm an artist, so sometimes I experiment with different signatures. I'm like, next ballot will probably go back to my original signature. I probably won't use that one again. And they're all like, okay, well, since we've talked to you and we've confirmed it's your ballot, it's fine, but you can't have anybody fill out your ballot for you unless you're registered as needing a not interpreter. I forget what you can like, if you're paralyzed, you can have somebody fill it out
like
for
an
you.
Assistant, like an official assistant.
Yeah, whatever they call their official assistant. But yeah, having my underage nephew, and his interest in democracy fill out my ballot for me triggered a chain of events where they came after me. Like, they're good at that shit. Like, you can't get away with fraud. Like, oh, people go around taking ballots from the mail and filling them out. Like, no, that shit doesn't work.
Well, the point of I think that verifies that there's like checks in place where it makes it hard to cheat and stuff. But on the other hand, I know for sure some billionaires have voted 3 times because they can cheat the system from the top.
Yeah, cheating's always easier from the top. That's a good point.
Yeah.
You have multiple homes in different states. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, they can go around the laws where us workers, we can't, because the law is right there. So the voter fraud that they are talking about is actually very anti-immigrant, and it's racism based, unfortunately, because they see all these young immigrants that vote against them and vote for their own interests, and they see that and they're scared. So that's why they're pushing this election fraud scam like propaganda on us now.
So how does our side stay motivated? And this is where I try to and sometimes I feel like I'm bullying like-minded individuals because you show up to vote, you make a little plan to vote, you know ahead of time when election day is. So you can, okay, I'm gonna have to request 2 hours off in the morning, or maybe my job affords us an hour, but that's not enough. So blah blah blah. Um, so you go to vote and you feel like you did your civic duty, and then we just have to eat loss after loss after loss. That's where I come in. I say, well, there's more to participating in democracy than voting. You actually vote every day with your money. Are you still supporting businesses that pay for the MAGA movement? Um, you need to, like, your daily life should reflect your vote, because to just cast an anti-establishment vote but then engage positively with the establishment. And some stuff's unavoidable.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't divest from literally everything.
Mm.
I've tried to suss out, which phone service and internet provider can I use that doesn't ultimately pay for MAGA. You can't. But there's some obvious ones that you can. I don't need to rehash Facebook, Amazon Prime, Tesla. They obviously stay away from those, but I know for a fact a lot of people in my community are progressive and they're not happy with what's happening, but they sure have a pile of Amazon Prime packages on their porch at all times. Like,
Well,
okay. Did you also watch the Melania movie? Because you paid for that shit, and it was a direct deposit to Mr. Trump. So that's a vote too. It wasn't on a Tuesday. You made that vote for Trump yesterday. Byron, we're talking about democracy is hard.
I thought I can explain what the like what do I think of what democratic socialism means? Just like what Arlen goes first. That's what I thought I was gonna. I thought it was like my turn to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Go ahead.
You're right.
Well, I'm gonna be like less specific to Pacific on what is democratic socialism. Okay, on that. Okay. I mean, it's just, well, I'm gonna be less specific to Pacific. Okay, as I repeat this, I mean, it's the name says it by itself, democratic socialist, not autocratic socialism, like some of the Arab, I think called nationalist states, whatever, like Iraq, Syria, and Egypt or Venezuela. It is democracy. Yeah, yes, you vote and you vote. Yeah, it has government there. It has all these infrastructures and public services that's that's available to everyone. That it supports like that we want fairness, have a society fair, and it's like all this freedom there. Yeah, socialism. I explain what the definition of socialism. Public services, extensive government intervention, regulation, spending, and like oh yeah, okay better or safer protective working conditions for workers, so like to have fair wages, progressive taxation, and there's one more. Oh, social security, welfare, and safety nets. That's what socialism is. And you want to have an economy that works for everyone, not just the wealthy, works for everyone. And this is main. That's like the here we go. There's gonna have the main. What is the main definition of democratic socials? Like industries that was controlled or owned, that was publicly all that. Yeah, that was the biggest difference. Like to transform capitalism, it's like all these industries that was owned and controlled by the workers in the society. Something like yeah. Okay. What else gonna say? The well on the well, to start a business, it will be like allowed but limited protection of wealth. It's protected but capped. Okay. I got things what I gotta say in my head. The progressive taxation is it's extremely high. It's yeah, extremely high on higher taxes for the wealthy to do progressive taxation policies. Is that there? Okay. The okay, what I was gonna say. Um, Public services. It's like universal, like it's so universal that, and there's any wealth influence on politics. Wealth influence on politics will be very low, including wealth gap too. I would say that, yeah, including to that. This is so, as we know, it's different to revolutionary socialism. I mean, you're going to replace democracy so to a revolution movement on that. I mean, regulate. Yeah, it sounds very free of any political ideology. Yeah, when I explain what it is, all that. I mean, we all need basic needs. It seems very helpful for us, from healthcare, education, housing, all these decent works, all this protecting workers, reduce poverty, all that. It's yeah, we want to make the economy more equal. Like I also includes that too. Yeah, all that. Democratic socialism is part of a progressive political ideology, along with social democracy and progressive liberalism. We also believe in civil liberties, all that, and rule of law. We also believe that the politicians should serve us, citizens, not corporate or foreign influences. Yeah, all that too. We don't want this at all. Um, it has I mentioned it does have really strong worker rights, all that. And I mean it's still like a mixed economy. It's like
Yeah.
it's a mixed economy still on that. I mean we also
It's
have
a mix, but
cooperatives, and there's also collectivism there too. And there's all these regulations. I mentioned, yeah, all that. It's also cooperate, and like you do like collectivism. Yeah, explain what's the definition of democratic socialism and specific details as possible. Yeah, it's still a mixed economy, still that. Yeah.
no, you really got the train back on the tracks. I think simply put, it's that everybody should have enough before anyone has extra. But then
Yeah.
outside of those guardrails, like yeah, go off and try to do better than everyone else. But everybody needs to be taken care of first. And there's enough productivity and wealth already in existence to do that. But because of the corruption in the system, some people are left behind while others prosper beyond what they've earned. But Byron, do you have any examples of other countries, other nations that have been more successful in transitioning to a democratic socialist model of government?
I don't know. I don't know actually. I know there's like the Nordic models, Scandinavia, Iceland, and Finland, social democracy. Yeah, and it's like those establishment, like American establishment said, oh, those people's gonna get all this free stuff. Okay, we deserve the free stuff. No, we fuck corporate welfare. They're not gonna get the free stuff for their policy to benefit for us. We get the free stuff. I mean, Democratic Solution has like the most free stuff. Like, yeah, I can say that. And any political ideology, like, for commoners, for ordinary citizens as us, and workers.
Yeah, I've got a friend whose family's from Finland, and she would like to move back there, but there's a challenge in that her son doesn't speak the language, and there's some
Oh,
obstacles.
yeah.
But
I mean, I
Well,
thought well, it is. Is it common in Finland to speak? They understand English. It seems to be common for that. Yeah.
yeah, probably. I know if she wants to talk to her grandparents, it's got to be Finnish. But yeah, I think you're right. Probably walking around the economic centers, it's probably you can probably get away with English. I mean, I could when I went to Guatemala City, but when you go other places, you got to use the language they're most familiar with.
Yeah, yeah, English is like the most commonly under language that people
yeah.
understand from the West or the global North or other nations that understands English, like the Caribbean nations like there's African countries that's they're like their official languages too. Or there's like a nations like like a plenty of South Asian nations. Yeah.
Yeah, even Singapore speaks English
That's
as
one of
their
the
state
official language, along
yeah,
with Malay, Tamil,
yeah,
and Chinese of Mandarin. That was Singaporean Chinese. That was
yeah.
yeah, it was Mandarin, and it was a tradition. It's both traditional and simplified Chinese there in Singapore.
Well,
Yeah,
again, even I hadn't thought about this in a while, but even in Guatemala City, the currency they use is American dollars. It's not their own quetzal. Is that what they use? The quetzal? I thought that was interesting. But so yeah, but I mean that just goes to show you that the establishment here is so prevalent that it does have that effect, that stranglehold on other countries.
Yeah,
Um, so there's transitional goals and challenges to go from our current predicament to a model where we use our incredible wealth, our incredible technology to take care of everyone before we just let the few turn the world into their sandbox and their playscape, and they engage in all these environment harming behaviors. There's transitional goals to get there. We've had some ideas: expand the Supreme Court, abolish the Electoral College. We need proportional representation, like Washington D.C., Puerto Rico. They don't have senators. Arlen, can you talk a little bit about the transitional goals and challenges from what we have now to where
Well,
we'd like to be?
well,
first
don't
I'm going
forget.
to add that the Nordic models are actually social democracy. They're not democratic socialism. Democratic socialism is actually like another step forward, but I think we have to start with a goal of reaching social democracy before we can reach democratic socialism.
Yeah,
But
That's a
social
good
democracy is
point.
still capitalism. It's like a fair capitalism with strong social
yeah,
safety nets, is all that. Yeah.
but as far as transitional goes, the electoral college needs to go first because there is such a regressive policy in today's standards. It's basically saying, oh, in this one state, one person can win 50% of the vote and take the whole state, and the other person who gets like 40 some percent gets nothing. You can't do that. That's not democratic at all. Have to get rid of that first, and then after we get rid of that, we need to get rid of Citizens United because that's just allowing a floodgate of dark money into politics where politicians are speaking for the donors and not for the people. So those two things are the most important things I think the US needs to get rid of first before we can actually progress.
Well, it's to say EOC. Look, and maybe we need more. Progressive needs to do away for of winning victories in this midterm, the presidential election, even primaries in 2027 and in 2029. That'd be all these years to win all these primary general elections, including midterms too. Yeah, that's
Yes.
if any Democrat, social, any progressive it's going to be American president. You have to make sure. Well, you have to know if the progressive politician is going to win or not. You have to yeah, if they win the election. Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. If we want a progressive president to succeed, we can't have a Congress that's regressive. Right now, we have a very regressive Congress where, on one side, it's filled with mega Republicans, and then on the other side, it's filled with corporate Democrats. If you have that kind of base, that kind of politicians in power, and then you have a progressive president, he or she will be knocked down, nothing will be achieved. And then they'll come in with propaganda to say that, look, the progressive president did nothing. That's what they will do. So we can't just have our sights on the president. We have to actually build from the ground up and flood Congress and
well,
reform Congress.
we got a primary against corporate incumbents of Democratic
Yeah,
politicians. I mean, like there's several days ago that Hakeem Jeffries and Bernie Sanders had a beef. I mean, like Hakeem Jeffries got mad about Bernie Sanders. Like, and Bernie Sanders has the right to primary. He has the right to volunteer. I mean, so
yeah,
does
of
any
course.
establishment. That's Hakeem Jeffries beef or whatever. It was like I mean, Bernie Sanders like do this in North Carolina. And Bernie Sanders could just Hakeem Jeffries could have just fuck himself from that. Bernie Sanders can allowed to do this or not? Yeah, he allowed to do this. You
It's because
volunteer.
Jeffries is the biggest piece of shit the Democrats have had for years.
Yeah, it was like North Carolina. I think one of the progressive candidates got like lost in a narrow defeat or whatever. So we must protect the Black Congressional Caucus. Look, don't think about the Black Congressional Caucus. This is not like any of those Black Americans. So there's they
Right.
were like progressives like the back in the 1960s or 1970s. This is nothing like that. It's always pro-corporate, pro-Israeli, foreign influence. That's what it is. Don't think it's like
Yeah, and they use it as a tool against people who actually want real systemic change. They will say, "Oh, now you're against black people," but we're not. We're actually some of the most pro-black people, right? But they will use propaganda and flood us out. That's what they're
I
trying to do.
I think to this day, people is not gonna fall for identity politics tricks or whatever. Yeah, I
Yeah,
hope
it's
this.
harder now.
Yeah, AOC does well to this day doesn't. I mean, it's her biggest weakness to fall for the trap of identity politics. I hope to this day she didn't fall identity politics thing. It was like it was a Michigan rally with Abdul El Say, and it's just this fucking douchebag,
Yeah.
Jim Clyburn. He was like, I don't see any black. I don't see any black people in the rally, whatever.
No, no.
It's like
That,
this guy just needs to retire his ass. This guy was born like 1940s. He's in his mid 80s when he just retired. He's been here since the Bill Clinton years in
Tosh.
1993. And don't
Yeah.
forget that Jim Clyburn also like well he volunteered like recent elections of Hillary Clinton on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, which they'll let to failure. Since he gave us a Biden, so let's say he gave us a Trump already.
Byron, they don't retire because they're addicted to power and it's
Yeah.
financially advantageous not to.
It's
Yeah,
paying for
also,
their own vacations, who knows, in their own private island and a private jet and private everything.
yeah, don't forget Jim Clyburn, South Carolina. Wherever his district doesn't feel safe enough, he took away other Democratic U.S. representatives in South Carolina to make sure his seat is safe. He helped Republicans, so
Yeah,
he's not your ally. And
that's why
he also okay. Remember, he's anti-progressive, so yes, he's definitely not the Democratic ally at all.
But I
that's why
think, like,
they
even whether it's a successful politician, and I mean personally successful, in that they've achieved financial independence and wealth and enough power for their personal wish fulfillment, not successful because their legislation helps their constituents, but they've imbued success to fulfill their own dreams. I think part of the reason why they keep going is because it's so scary to think it can all go away, and it's scary because there's no social safety net. And that's why, again, on the smaller scale, somebody might choose going to work instead of voting because it's scary to think you can make missteps and you'll be one of those homeless people out there wandering around the streets with a sign at the mercy of some small amount of goodwill from somebody in the form of change. And now you're vulnerable to the horrors of being on your own in the dark. Like, because why would you just continue to amass wealth and then die in the stage where you're still amassing wealth and never enjoy it? Like, at some point, you would hope somebody would take a look at what they have and feel content. But they don't. They keep going and they keep going and they keep lying and they keep stealing. So let's say some of your guys grassroots efforts succeed, and now instead of grassroots, we've got little plants, little progressive plants all over the Congress. Um, how does life appear better? How do things start getting better? Arlen said something that, as I've thought about in our meeting, Arlen said something that stuck with me all week. Do you remember what it was, Arlen?
I'm not sure which one you're referring to because I said a lot of things.
We were talking about getting to a place, because right now in our discussion we've been talking about the gridlock.
Yeah.
And so we got to a place where we started talking about the benefits of easing up on that gridlock because we have enough progressive representation that there's rapid legislation. I'm trying not
Okay.
to steal your phrase, but I will. When we started talking about rapid legislation, you remember what you said? It was a banger.
There was a
Yeah.
bear.
Yeah, if we get rid of Senate, it's 100 Senate. So we have like 435 US presidency. So it's going to be like 535 because it's, I mean, United States is a giant country. So I think it should fit enough, I guess, 535 US representatives. If that happened, we get rid of the Senate there. You have to
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, we
you
can.
have to like redistrict it the states or regions, whatever. I mean,
when
Vermont's
you
only one.
said last week abolish the Senate, I was like, that's not practical. But then I started seeing articles about it. And sometimes
Mm.
you guys inform me of something, and then I go and read about it. Like, wow, they were right.
Or she should have that.
Well,
Australia still has us has a Senate there. Yeah.
yeah,
But
I think the U.S. thinks they're unique because they have this separate House and separate Senate. But I've seen a lot of problems with it lately where, oh, the Senate votes for something, they have to send it to the House has to vote, and then send it back to the Senate. It's like this tug of war. And then if one side disagrees, then the whole bill gets shot down. It's like, come on, can't we just merge them together and actually have something functional?
Yeah, yeah. There's like states in U.S. representative roles in Congress. It's only one U.S. representative for Delaware. It's called like the at-large district. It's in Delaware, North Dakota, I think South Dakota, and and Vermont, like etc. On that, I think we got to redistrict it. So it's gonna be like 585 members. So we're gonna have a if we're gonna have a parliament in the United States there.
Yeah,
Yeah, or local ones or locals. Yeah, instead of state senators, state representatives, why don't we just get a parliament there, whatever numbers they
yeah,
have there in the states, in each states of the United States. Yeah.
yeah. And then what
whether
else?
we reform, merge, or go parliamentary, the goal or the big win is three words: speed is democratic. Quote attribution Arlen. I don't want to,
Yeah,
that
it
wasn't my
is.
original thought. That was Arlen's, but
That's a
speed
good
is
statement.
democratic because we can't be bogged down in the gridlock when we're trying to triage the collapse of the climate. We're about to enter the third global heat dome of the month. Of out of all the United States, but 70 million of the 300 million of us are experiencing an intense heat wave for the third
Yeah,
time this month. Like
the
when we put up,
policies.
we need to be able to vote on these things, and elections and legislation should be transformative.
Yeah,
It shouldn't bounce back and forth between the House of the Senate and go nowhere. And now they're on recess, and now they're not going to do it because there's going to be another election, and the seats are going to reshuffle. Like speed is democratic, and at this point, it's necessary because we can't just have these things we're thinking about in perpetuity while people benefit and profit off of the process because we're running out of time. We
yeah,
need
Yeah,
to present a problem, vote on the solution, and move forward. And that's why I keep thinking speed is democratic. It is because you
yeah.
vote and you want to see the results in action. You don't
But the
want like it.
policies need to be bold as well. If they're like measly little nibbling on the edges, that kind of policy is not going to work. You have to go in not only fast but bold. You got to start if you want to achieve what you want. Like say, for example, bring the U.S. to the modern age of universal healthcare. If you want universal healthcare, you have to go in with universal healthcare. You can't go in with public option. If you go in with a public option, you end up with Romney care. It's like that kind of that kind of thinking. You just have to go in bold and fast. Achieve the
That's a good point.
bill. Once it's passed into law, they can't take it away. Then every party will become for it. That's just how it works. But when you don't have it, they'll always make excuses.
yeah. Well, if this is going to be a parliament, the government's going to call a premier, or there's like two different type of parliament. Well, lucky Taiwan has a parliament, and we have like a president, vice presidents. Now there's like president, prime minister, because the prime minister has to be the leader of their own specific political party. If they want like a majority, the president has to be independent. It's not supposed to be associated with
Yeah,
any political party. So they appoint someone who's going to be the leader of their own specific political party if they won the election that was voted by the people. That's how it works in those kind of stuff like that. Yeah, like the
yeah,
Yeah,
people that have a
Byron, you're
stake in
definitely
the
onto
independence
something.
head of the governments.
I think Americans would be slow to accept a vocabulary change, like, oh, we have a prime minister now, because they kind of it really cuts to their
Well, mainstream
pride and
Americans, I would say. I'm not a
Well,
mainstream Americans, an
I
American.
right,
mean,
but I'm talking about, bringing our ideals to the masses. I think if at any time in history Americans would accept big changes, it's gonna follow the toppling of Trump because he's covered the White House in gold-plated bullshit. Like he looks like a dictator. He puts his name on everything.
but
He
you
streams enormous banners of his face everywhere. Like if they were gonna accept any big change, it would probably come after we start excising this cancer, because they'll be like, yeah, wow, that's
but
the
sometimes I think Trump being so bad in the end might be a good thing in a sense. Not all the crap that's happened, but him being
Yeah.
so bad will make the grassroots rise up and voice our opinions a lot strongly because we're sick and tired of shit like that. And he doesn't hide it, so you see directly what he's doing. It's like
yeah.
gold plated everything, gold toilets, gold poop. It's like, come on.
Well, this is like this definition. I think it's still democracy, but there's like ways it's autocracy. This is like the United States, Israel, like I think it's like Hungary used to be under Viktor Orban. India, if you want to include that, or I don't know, possibly Turkey, I guess. I think they call it like a hybrid regime. I think that's what they call it. And there was like another one's called like democratic regime. Where like, you get just like a prime minister, you just get like term limits or whatever. It's still a regime. And things like in Iraq, whatever, when it's still a failed state to this day. Yeah, I think there's like a difference of that. What is more freer is to have a president or vice president or president or prime minister? Because president is both have the powers to head of state and head of the government. Prime minister only had the head of the government. I don't want the other president had to only be head of the states. So I don't know which just seems better. Maybe head of a I think it may be president or prime minister. So I think it sounds more freer, I say.
Yeah, we can frame
Yeah,
it however we want, I think. The name, the label doesn't matter to me. It's the substance that matters. So
I care about what the
whatever.
role have, like what the power. I'm
Yeah,
interested in the power they
yeah,
have.
right.
I mean, with a vice president
yeah,
being the
or
next president and the president died or whatever, or a prime minister,
Yeah,
you gotta pick a different member of parliament
right.
who's a member of the Pacific Party who won the election. Pick a different one.
Yeah,
That's how it works.
yeah, that's
it's almost
true.
like we need more checks and balances on the executive,
Yeah.
and then and more checks and balances in the judicial, but fewer checks and balances in the legislative.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
like this. Yeah, it's like in the president, prime minister, or the president. It was elected by like, the parliament because the president has to be independent, not associated with any political ideology or affiliation. It was
uh,
voted by the majority of the parliament there. Yeah.
yeah,
I wonder if when the president dies, or yeah, it had to be voted again by a member of parliament. Whoever wants the majority it has to be an independent, not like someone be associated with any political ideology or political party. Because I don't think the president of
yeah.
Israel, Isaac Herzog, he seems to be aligned with any political ideology. I think he's a neocon, whatever.
Yeah, it's not healthy to have if let's say the president is too sick or not up to standards to govern anymore. It really isn't healthy to have this lined up, queued up, who's gonna be a successor. I don't think that's good. That's not democratic.
Yeah, I mean, so like the Supreme Court in the United States or in Russia, they seem well in Russia they're just a sticker stands to Vladimir Putin. The United States, like the conservative ones, they seem to be very political. They don't seem very independent at all.
No,
Isaac
not.
Herzog, I think he's a Israeli president. I think he is a total neocon, I will say so far. Like there's Isaac Herzog and Benjamin Netanyahu there. Yeah,
So these institutions need to be fixed.
yeah.
Right.
Um, but since we're running out of time, let's say we get there and we create this utopia. How is it going to stay invincible and not become vulnerable to the opportunists out there? Because there's always going to be bad actors that are going to
Yes.
take a look at the landscape, and just because their nature is sociopathic, they're going to start seeing the exploits and seeing the ways to take from others, and use deceptive language to kind of build a following, and they're gonna try to profit again and hurt people. So utopia, invincible or vulnerable?
Oh, how to make it invincible? Maybe the sense is to be highly educated on political
Yeah.
science, including history or anything that's, well, sort of irrelevant to political science or history. Maybe in science, like issues on environmental policies or sociology, something like that. Yeah, I think they need to be highly educated on those kind of issues, on those kind of issues like that. Or maybe include geography. They also have to, yeah. So, yeah, to be very self-aware, very informative on political science, highly educated. Yeah.
Yeah, when the population is highly educated, they will stop voting against their own interests. They will actually vote for their own interests, and that's one very good way to safeguard what we have.
Yeah. You have to be like well informative on like see history, political science, geography, or whatever science topic related to maybe I don't know, climate change, something like that, or sociology on that. Yeah. Have be very high. You have to have. It's important to have highly educated. This is a future of humanity there and of planet Earth. Yeah.
And that's why the Department of Education was one of the first institutions under attack
Well,
in in this current regime. 'Cause yeah,
But,
yeah,
but look, once we have everything in place, because that's what we're talking about here, if we have healthcare, if we have basic income needs, if everyone's basic income needs are met, if basic housing needs are met, if people are highly educated, there's no way anyone could actually sneak in and try to dismantle this kind of system.
yeah. I think it would be if everybody's basic needs were met and there was no, you didn't live with the fear, like, oh my God, if I get fired from my job, it all goes
Yeah,
away. I'm gonna be on the streets. So if everybody lived outside of survival mode, they would be more attuned and they'd be able to participate in democracy and they would have a stake in society. That would be way more obvious when somebody shows up trying to steal or start war over resources that belong to other countries.
yeah.
yeah, just like when Donald Trump did to Venezuela, stealing the oil and gold, and keep this in his private Qatari bank accounts. Yeah, so he does.
He does a
Yeah, so
lot of
the
things.
goal is sustainability, not perfection.
Right, exactly.
Because there's still going to be, I mean, we're still going to have to put up a topic for voting. Like, okay, look, because of carbon footprint, we're going to have to introduce some behavioral changes, and convenience is addicting. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to give up that, or I like people take vacations on leisure vacations on cruise ships still. That's
Yeah.
the most environmentally destructive form of travel.
Yeah.
One cruise ship emits the same volume of pollution as 1 million cars. Like,
And you're polluting all the ocean and all the fish people eat and all those things too.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
one of those things like, and the people who profit off of the cruises have a disproportionate control of the associated governments. But when we have this utopian democracy, like 70% of Americans do believe the scientists are right on climate change. So we would be able to vote, and our elections and our legislation would be transformative. And yeah, like it might be painful if you're in that minority that enjoys cruises.
yeah.
Um, but we would be able to vote to eliminate that and then it'd be gone.
Yeah.
And then somebody would have to think up either a green cruise or, yeah, you can still do the things you like, but they need to be reworked. Because we're in
Yeah.
this place where people put their foot down on, oh, you want to take away something I enjoy? Well, you're the real fascist. Like, no, but we need to we need to safeguard the environment.
Well,
We're stewards of the environment for
we have to
the
make it
next
clear
gen.
we're not taking anything away. We're just reworking how everything is, like redistributing. And I'm sorry if you don't like that word. It needs to be done. You can't have 100 billionaires hogging 80% of all the Earth's resources. That's not sustainable.
Because right now the billionaires, they kind of sit up here and they watch over our elections, and it doesn't really affect them. But if
Right.
we voted to ground all private jets and dismantle all super yachts, like I guarantee if those were on the ballot, it would win. Ground all
Oh
private
yeah, I'm sure it
jets,
will. Because
dismantle all
Well,
the super yachts. Like we need the ability to vote for that. And then yeah, Taylor Swift is going to have to rethink how she goes from concert venue to concert venue. But you know what? She'll get there.
yeah.
She just
well,
won't get there in 6 hours. But that's fine because the damage she's doing will be undone.
Mm.
yeah, I got two things to say. I mean, you cannot blame the voters if they vote for the opposing political candidate or they didn't vote any of them. I mean, you have to blame on the political candidates. I mean, forget about the third parties. I mean, it's up to the political candidate job. If you campaign well, you can't just attack the voters or any or on that because they vote for opposing political candidate or they haven't voted or they voted third party. That's in the United States issue, American issue. I mean, forget
Yeah.
about the third party candidates. It's up to the political candidates, the major political party job. They need to know how to appeal to the voters.
Mm.
Yeah, if they campaign well or not. This is how it works. This is what I would blame. Blaming the political candidate rather than the voters there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the people who don't vote the way we vote, yeah, of course I'm not mad at them. I might judge them. I'm a human being. Like, why would you vote against your own interest? But I think if we had proportional voting more often than not, people would vote pro prosperity for everyone, pro environment. I want to open up my permanent mail-in voting ballot, and I want to be able to vote on important things. Right now, those ballots show up all the time.
Mm.
I'll admit, like I've been so overwhelmed, I've even thrown one away. I know, I'm sorry. But when you open it up, it always says something like Prop 503B. A yes vote has the effect of reducing the time before the city mine inspector can retire to 98 months on the job. A yes vote will keep it at 102 months. I don't give a fuck about that. Why? That's not worth the paper it's printed on.
And
But it's
sometimes
that gridlock.
the language they use is hard to understand on purpose as well. So sometimes if you vote yes to something, you might actually be voting against your own interests.
Yeah,
Well, look, I mean, it's third party candidates, whatever people said earlier, spoilers. Well, look, you have to, it's still the political candidates. This is up to them. How are you going to appeal to voters if you're going to win this election or not? Like,
Yeah.
you have to have a great campaign. And also one more thing, you say, well, about the citizens want to vote on policies. That's called direct democracy. The one we talk about is mainly about representative democracy, but we want direct democracy. This is one of the like, cities in ancient Greece. I think it was in Athens when citizens voted on policies. Well, I mean, whoever policy won by a majority of people, the policies happened and passed. This is yeah, I looked it up. It's called
that's
direct
true.
democracy.
Mm.
No,
That's the
Byron, yeah,
citizens
thank
voting,
you,
not the
Byron. Yeah, I,
politicians.
I would prefer a more direct democracy at this point, since we've shown time and time again that our representatives are corruptible. Maybe they
I
go in
mean,
with good intentions and then they just find out that nothing's going to get done with their good intentions and they start profiting, or their intention was, dang, I'm rich enough, I should run for office and then also have power and prestige in addition to being rich. Like,
So you want
I
you
would prefer a more direct democracy.
yes.
I
So
mean,
you
when I
want
can make a bank transaction between Venmo, Wells Fargo, this store, and it's accurate to the fraction of a cent, like an infrastructure could be built where we could vote on our phones, and it would have the same safeguards as our finance technology, and we could vote more quickly on these things. Because yeah, we're not with the current level of representation that isn't even proportional to
representative
the
democracy.
population, we're never going to vote to ground the private jets and dismantle the super yachts, but those are the things we need to be voting on.
I get that you want a direct democracy, just like I think it's in Athens or Crete in ancient Greece that we citizens vote for the policies and then pass, won by a majority. It does make sense when you say that you want something like that.
there is always referendums where you vote on an issue instead of just a person.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's
Vote
just,
for a person. That still represent democracy. They're going to be the politician. That's still stats.
Yeah, yeah, it still is. But at least we should have some right to vote on certain issues if they're big enough, not just on the person.
or maybe even the ability to recall somebody quicker once there's
Yeah,
concrete
yeah,
evidence that they've backed out of some campaign promises. I remember
yeah.
when I was first becoming politically aware, and I was wearing one of my political shirts at the grocery store, and then a guy I was kind of trying to trap a to have a guy working there in a conversation, and he said, "I've been alive a lot longer than you, and my life has never changed, no matter who's in office."
Mm,
And I'm old enough now to realize he's talking about gridlock,
yeah.
because to some extent, I have a whole lot more stressed right now thinking about the damage that's being done to our country and the environment and the world. But even if Kamala was in office right now, I'd probably be doing the same things about getting ready to go to a new job and trying to pay my rent. And yeah, so in this utopia we're trying to build, legislation and elections need to be transformative. Like you need to feel the change.
Yeah, even I mentioned like in previous video, we do really need ranked choice voting. Really, really need that for a representative democracy. Ranked choice voting.
Yeah, I'm for that.
Yeah, like whoever
We're out of time. Who wants the last word?
Well,
Democratic socialism.
I just want to say for certain that again, perfection isn't the goal. It's actually sustainability. We just want something sustainable.
I'll be the last person to say the last word. So it's next, Jason.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna say I wish you guys were my representatives.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
my last word. You guys have some great ideas on how to lift people out of survival mode and and provide a better life to everyone. But still, entrepreneurs can go out and invent and be as successful as they want, but we just can't leave anybody behind, and we can't destroy our precious resources in the process.
Okay, I'm gonna get like a little well pop culture, science fiction, or fantasy level. Okay, I
Do
know
it.
people gonna say that the reality, the real world sucks ass, but we don't live in we don't live in a fantasy or imagination land or whatever, you know. But the best kind of fantasy imagination land is like the whole world, the planet Earth is democratic socialism, so we don't have to deal with so we can live under a socialist economy. We don't have to have any wars or all this shit there. We can have equal human rights, like Universal Declaration of Human Rights. You can live in a progressive, under culturally progressivism, and yeah, it can have an eco-friendly environment, those kind of stuff like that. So I mean, yes, this is ain't no, I mean, I get that people want to escape reality, but it's up to us. When reality real, it's up to us, we human beings, you know? I mean, so you and Jason seem to agree to that. This isn't like Ready Player One or Matrix kind of stuff. Yeah, about us who want to skip the real world reality. You imagine yourself, you fancy yourself, or whatever. Or I don't know, some fictional characters in pop culture, or people I don't know, just random, I don't know, people you might know in reality, or someone's, it's just, you create some characters, or whatever, create some kind of world or land. So what you thought of that, Jason Arlen? I know it seems kind of outlandish, whatever.
I mean, that would be awesome. I just don't see how we get change virtual reality into reality, but I mean,
Yeah,
I'm all for it.
go for it, right? I
Yeah,
get,
but no,
I'm
Yeah,
a,
Byron, you're right. As a science fiction fan myself, I mean, when you were talking about how important education is, I was thinking about how the most rigorous time in a young Vulcan's life is when they go through the Vulcan Science Academy, but they
yeah.
all have to do it because it's important to their culture. But they say that the Federation of Planets won't make first contact while the civilization still lives with nation states. Because as long as you have nation states, you're going to disagree with each other, and you're not going to have a harmonious planet.
right.
Yeah, like the
So,
holodeck and start your next generation. Like nobody can argue that the real world sucks. So I would say yes, I agree. The real world sucks. Like, I mean, I can go with some kind of virtual reality, or science fiction or fantasy. Well, let's find a science fiction level to living in the fantasy world, you know.
mm,
But
Byron, you got away with words. I agree. The best science fiction starts with the real world sucks ass.
Yeah. Like they just says they're kind of scared to say, no, I don't want to go in the real world. Real world sucks ass. No. I get bullied or blah blah blah. I don't want to go back to a real world. Or there's like, I don't know, someone like in a fantasy world saying, no, you gotta stay here. You gotta stay here. Why the hell you want to come back in reality? Or
Well,
someone
that's why we
it
all
could
like
be,
entertainment so much, but we could have those things in real life, but we
yeah,
do have to fight for them. You
yeah,
want democratic socialism or social democracy, you got to fight for it.
yeah. I mean,
Or do you want an
that'd
unfair
be my
system?
number one thing I want in the world if we live in a fantasy world, yeah.
Mm.
The whole world shit.
All
All
right.
right. Well, we got to go. Let's do it again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you as always.
Yeah, thank
All right.
you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You
Jason,
too.
you're like a good brother, a good dad. You know? Yeah, you look like my dad, Jason. I met your dad previously, like an hour ago. I mean, you're 20 years older than me, old enough to be my dad, so yes.
Okay, I'm gonna end it on that one. I've missed you guys already, though.
I miss
Just
you.